knows there's a place for us where we could go, where we could be alone. Between city lights, we don't have to hide. I wanna go, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? I can't understand why we can't hold hands, but they don't know what we have is real love. Aren't you sick and tired of having to hide? I know a place, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow?
Oh man, I'm gonna get into mukbang. Yeah. Can you do mukbang if you're not a young Asian woman? Is that a thing? I wonder what we're going to talk about today. I am running late. It's true. I was distracted talking to my patrons over on the Discord server. I am not a young Asian woman, Fabulous 09. I don't know if you may be only listening to the podcasts. Like, for example, I don't know if you know who Video Game Donkey is. Like a lot of you probably do. A lot of people are surprised to learn that Video Game Donkey is not a Puerto Rican man. He is a young, well, he's not young anymore. Not as young as he was. But he's just a white, nerdy gamer guy. I am also not an Asian woman. Oh, it's not frozen pizza. That's Papa John's from the fridge, baby. What's that t-shirt I got on? I'm not sure if this is still available, but it comes from, this one's from Race Day Quads. Go over on Race Day Quads and look if they have it. What's the best low-budget 3D printer to print drone parts on? Arguably the best is the Prusa Mini. which it's $350, which is not exactly low budget, but it's very, very high quality if you're okay with the small build volume. However, oh, we're starting strong today, guys. We're starting it strong. We got chewing, we got slurping, we got burping. Damn. Let's take a look at our analytics. Oh, they're going down. Hard to go wrong with the Ender 3. Hard to go wrong with the Ender 3. Right. You get an Ender 3 for about $200, you'd be doing okay. And then you got plenty of budget to upgrade it. So. Or do I identify as a young Asian woman? Like, I am not a young Asian woman, but do I identify as one? No, I don't. We got a lot to talk about in today's live stream, folks. We got a lot to talk about. Spider Monkey FPV's DJI FPV unboxing video. I hit 200,000 subs last night. Boom! That's it, folks. I can quit now. I made it. I can start phoning it in. It's official. Oh, haha. Nice placement of those white DJI or Apple-looking boxes in the background there. Actually, that is the enormous, right back there, right there. That is the enormous pile of things I am giving away over on my Patreon this month. I do a giveaway every month. Hang on, I'll show you. I could do 2 giveaways every month. And here's the secret. You don't have to be a patron to join the Patreon one. But, hang on. This is my patrons giveaway. My patrons are going to be mad at me for putting this on the live stream. This is my patrons giveaway this month. The post is up on my Patreon. And you don't have to be a patron to enter. Here are the things that I'm giving away this month. The reason you don't have to be a patron to enter, you used to have to. It's not like I'm just such a generous person. I mean, I kind of am, but it's actually against the terms of service and the United States federal guidelines laws to charge entry to a giveaway, because then you're like running a lottery. So I actually, according to Patreon terms of service, have to make this open to everyone, and it is. So you can actually, there's still time for you to enter this giveaway. Cutoff is February 16th. So look at all this crap I'm giving away. It's a lot of crap, isn't it? Look at that. Just take it in. So that's what's in those boxes back behind me on the desk. The other giveaway I do every month is I do a new product roundup and giveaway. The February giveaway has not posted yet, even though it's nearly halfway through February, because screw you, I'm busy. But it is recorded and edited, and I uploaded it yesterday. It will go live, I think, on Tuesday. So keep an eye on the channel for that. There's going to be a big, I think you're going to like the prize in this month's giveaway. But yeah, so that's what's behind me on the desk. No secret pre-order things. Did I fly Bob's motors yet? Asks KH. The FPV Cycle 5-inch motors. I did. And I'll give you a little teaser of the result. I have that video also recorded, and it just hasn't uploaded yet. My first question that I ask whenever I fly like some new fancy motor is, can I even tell the difference? Like, a lot of time, like, because I fly a lot of different quads. So, like, if you always fly the same, if you're like Mr. Steele, who to me is the strongest example of someone who has his setup tuned to the nth degree, and he has it exactly how he wants it. And so I imagine that anytime he flies anything different, he's like, oh, I could totally feel the difference between this and my setup. I'm the opposite. I fly so many different things because I'm always reviewing different things, and most of the time I just start flying and I go, yeah, okay, it feels okay, and I just start flying. So if I can tell the difference in your motor, to me that's step one. And sure enough, I flew Bob's FPV Cycle 5-inch motors, and I do think there's something to them. You know, I don't claim to be enough of a connoisseur to really suss out all the Bob Ruge FPV Cycle Snoopy RC. Yeah. Shout out for Pavel Spikowski, who apparently has broken his leg. I don't even know if that's true. You know, I'm gonna say somebody could be just trolling me in the comments. Let's check and see if he has anything to say about that over on his channel. I mean, I don't know. Oh yeah. Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. Legit. This is over on Pavel Spikowski's. How did he break his leg? Do we know? Was it something fun or something dumb or both? I had an accident in hospital. Oh shit. Oh shit, dude. Had an accident. That's bad. All right, Pavel. Well, thankfully, Pavel is in a country where he does not have to start a GoFundMe to pay for his medical care. So he'll be fine. Why did Quadbox stop? Gabriel Reyes asks. I don't know the details of why Quadbox stopped, but I have always been a really kind of... You notice I stopped... There was a time for a few months, where I was doing openings of Quadbox and Dronebox or whatever, and I stopped doing them because I just thought... I just wasn't excited about, like, oh, look, here's this month's box. Look, there's a kind of outdated flight controller in it and some props. And I loved Quadbox for the t-shirts. This is not actually a Quadbox t-shirt, but I felt like for Quadbox, that was the big reason to get it, was they had original art. The t-shirts I thought were pretty good. And I really was excited to open it up every month and see what the design was on the t-shirt. They had stickers too. Some people are really into sticker sheets. But the hardware, to me, like if you look at really successful subscription boxes, because my wife is into subscription boxes. I don't actually really want to know how many subscription boxes she's subscribed to at this moment. I'm not even sure she knows. Like the really good ones... They're either in a market where, like makeup is a really great market for subscription boxes because there is always kind of hunger for novelty, and giving away a very small sample has a high value, and it's great as a loss leader because if you really like the product, you're going to buy more of that. If you get a color of lipstick and you love the color of lipstick, you're going to buy more of it and you're going to stick with that color. I don't know. I don't wear lipstick. That's how it feels like it works. The whole quad marketplace is terrible because, like, it's terrible for subscription boxes because if you think about it, there are no margins. Like, the margins are really bad. It's not like makeup where there could be a high margin. So you have a lot. And if somebody gives you a flight controller in a subscription box, great, you're going to put it in a quad. Now you don't need a flight controller anymore. But, you know, I mean, it's not entirely true. You're going to break it. You're going to build a new quad. But there's no incentive really. There's no incentive really for the manufacturers to put a loss leader in the subscription box. So it's always a big struggle. And then people are very picky with what they want. So a lot of times I would get a subscription box, like a quad box, and I'd look at it and I'd go, yeah, this is okay. That's a decent flight controller, but like maybe you like 20 millimeters. And so I feel like FPV Crate, because of their affiliation with Get FPV, is one of the ones who is doing subscription boxes right. And people seem happy with FPV Crate. I don't know. When you run a store, that was, I think, the theory behind Quadbox, was that it would partner with the store and it would help with clearing old inventory maybe, and they would use the store's pull to get good pricing. But I mean, Rotor Riot just isn't as big of a store as Get FPV. It feels like Get FPV has more ability to do a better job. So anyway, Quadbox is done. Oh, Phantom's here. Phantom FPV, nice to see you, man. Always nice when you turn out, my friend. Ghost Branch is here. Got some people in the chat. Let's talk about the leaked DJI drone in just a second. But before we do that, welcome to the stream, everybody. This is what's going on. If you are new here, this is the deal. I am going to be checking out your questions here. Where do you announce the winner of the Patreon giveaway? Sir Clean FPV asks. Sir Clean, I always notify the winners by email. So I always ask for your email when you enter the giveaway. That allows me to prevent duplicate entries. Obviously, you could create multiple emails. I can't be sure that you're not doing that. But I ask for an email, and I notify people by emails. And then in order to make sure everybody knows I'm being honest, I also publicly announce the winners. So, for example, for the Patreon giveaway, they're announced on Patreon. But don't worry, if you win, you'll get an email saying that you win. You know, I want to deliver the prize to you. Somatic FPV, you are correct. The Discord is for patrons only. That's these beautiful people over here. This Discord server is one of the best resources in FPV, or so I hear from the people who are on it. You know, my goal is always to be the smartest, most helpful guy in the room. Not the prettiest, not the friendliest, but I want to be helpful. And this Discord server really humbles me because there are so many smart, helpful people over here helping each other, even when times when I can't be there. And I am honored to be the seed of this server and get it started and to draw so many people who are also smart, helpful, and kind into one place. So if you want to join that server, you got to be a patron. You can join my Patreon for as little as $2 a month or more if you feel like I've earned it. Link in the video description. Jacob, giveaway, foreign citizens with big shipping and FX 25% VAT. Jacob asks, I cover shipping on the giveaway. I do not want to give you a prize and then you have to pay money out of your pocket. I'm not able to cover your VAT or your import tax. However, if there is a way that I can ship you the prize that will make it easier for you, if there's a way I can ship it that will save you from having to pay a big import tax, like if there's things that could be done that mean that you don't have to pay a big import tax, then we could talk about that, like certain ways of shipping it. You see them getting that? But no, you don't. If you live in the EU and you win a prize, I pay the shipping. Doesn't matter. We figured it out. Yeah, ship as sample. There are ways you can market that bypass the tax. I certainly would never say on stream that I am violating international shipping regulations. Certainly would not do that. That would not be kosher. We just find ways to work around it and make it work. Kyle K, I'm not sure that if it was a gift, I'm not sure that actually would get you past the import tax, but You Are a Lawyer says, hey Joshua, do you know whether any stores would allow you to return goggles if they don't fit your face? I'm thinking of buying the Orcas, but I've heard they fit narrow faces best. You Are a Lawyer, typically the best you're going to get is a restocking fee. If you open a product, they cannot sell it as new. So very few stores are going to do that. Your best bet is Amazon. Amazon has an incredibly generous return policy. Basically, from Amazon, you can return anything for any reason, and there's no questions asked, pretty much. Usually, sometimes they'll charge you, like, the shipping on the return, so you'll lose $20, $25 maybe. And Amazon just makes the vendor eat that. I have seen both sides. I'm an Amazon customer, obviously, many people are. But in addition, I've worked with stores that sold on Amazon, and it is a nightmare as a store because Amazon is so consumer friendly. And if you don't toe the line, Amazon just cuts you off and you're not Prime eligible anymore. So the stores just bend over backwards. So if you wanted to do that, your best bet would be to buy the goggles on Amazon, and then if you didn't like them, return them. and you are kind of screwing over the store, but that's just the price of doing business on Amazon, and they have accounted for it. That's, by the way, that's why sometimes things are way more expensive on Amazon. But I don't think Orcas are sold on Amazon, so I think you're out of luck there. The good news is if you buy Orcas and you don't like them, there's a very, very good chance you could sell them used, and you would lose some money, but maybe not too much money. That's my best guess. Do I still recommend the iFlight Sedora SL5E? Yes, wholeheartedly. Wholeheartedly. Okay, so let's talk about... We got a lot of questions coming in, but I said I would talk about this, so I will. Let's talk about this leaked DJI video. Did y'all see it? I'm not going to put it on my stream because I don't want to risk pissing DJI off. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, man, you used to be cool. You used to stick it to the man, and now you won't show a video on your live stream because you don't want to get... You're going to see... Listen, if you want to watch a crappy unboxing with several completely incorrect claims by some guy who doesn't know what he's talking about, go find that video. You can at least see the unboxing. I mean, you can at least see the product. But unfortunately, I can't say more because I'm under embargo, and that was the price of admission. I've had this product for a while. I'm happy to acknowledge that it exists. The fact that it exists has been verified by FCC filings and so forth. So I don't think simply acknowledging that it exists and I have it is in any way a violation of an NDA. I'm really looking forward to releasing my review of it because many of the things that people are guessing or assuming based on the leaks are flat out wrong. And I'm really excited to be able to shove it in your face how wrong you are. Now I sound like an asshole. Sorry. I mean that with all the love of Jesus. It's very exciting when someone is cocksure and then you get to be like, hey, turns out you're wrong. And I've been that guy. So, I mean, I've been on both sides of this. I've been the guy who was like, listen, this product is going to be garbage. It can't be any good. Oh, I'm so smart. And then I turn out to be completely... So, I mean, I get it from both sides. I'm really looking forward to releasing my review. There is an unboxing, though. Apparently, this guy works for a frickin'... It's like Dominion Drones, I think is the name of the company. I looked them up. They're actually a brick and mortar drone, DJI drone store in Virginia. And the video, the goggles were marked for display only. So this guy apparently got his retail display for his brick and mortar store. And the first effing thing he did was make an unboxing video and put it on YouTube before the embargo lifts. Like, what an enormous F-up. What an enormous F-up. Oh. What an enormous screw-up it is. I will not trigger rage on Sync Happens 86 again. Copter 612 asks in the Discord, do you think we will ever have a real feedback opportunity into DJI regarding things the FPV community wants, like MSPOSD or etc.? Copter 612, I have to tell you, and there are people out there who will hear me say this and say, oh, I'm just shilling for DJI. I can't reach those people, and I'm not going to try. DJI has been incredibly responsive to feedback from the FPV community. That's why DJI has a relationship with Rotor Riot, with me, with other FPV pilots. I have to get this screw off my desk or I'm going to be fiddling with it and dropping it all stream. Go away. They have been more responsive than many FPV companies because DJI, you say, hey, we complained about... Think back. You're forgetting all the things they've already done. When they originally started, they didn't have OSD support. They added OSD support. Then we were like, hey, can we have GPS elements? They added GPS elements. When they first started, they didn't record analog DVR. The DVR couldn't record the analog feed. They added that. The analog feed had way too much latency. They fixed that. They reduced the latency of the analog feed. They changed that the analog feed went to the DJI logo, and they made it just go to static and stay static. I can't even think of all the things they've done for us. And that's not like, oh, we should be so grateful. But do you think we will ever have real feedback into DJI? We have it. DJI has been completely engaged. They are not out there like on RC groups going, hey guys, what do you want? Their MO is to connect with people like me, like Rotorite, with key influencers. I know I hate that word too, but and then to let us funnel up to them the things that the FPV community wants. But they totally have been so responsive. Robin FPV says DJI listened because the FPV community was beta testers for their new camera drones. What if it was? As long as they keep serving us, I'm happy to be the beta tester. Please. Marcos Savidis says Spider Monkey isn't working for Dominion drones. That's right, Marcos. I believe what happened was Dominion drones posted it and then Spider Monkey re-uploaded it. I noticed, I saw the video from Dominion drones on Facebook, and then when I clicked through, it was taken down, and then I saw the Spider Monkey video. So I assume Spider Monkey downloaded and re-uploaded it. I don't think Spider Monkey works for Dominion. I am a Karate 420. I mentioned the Fat Shark HDO3 in the Cobra X video. I apologize. That was a typo. That was, I don't know what happened. I was adding those titles at the last minute before I uploaded the video, and my brain spit out HDO3, and I just typed it, and I don't know. That was a total mistake. There is no HDO3 as of this time. That was just a typo. And I read it, too. I said it out loud just because my brain was not engaged because I was in a hurry to post the video. So. Robin FPV says, I thought Spider Monkey was an attempt to sidestep the embargo. I don't know about that, Robin. I actually don't. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure. I saw the video, then it was private and taken down. Then I saw Spider Monkey and it was up. I assumed Spider Monkey re-uploaded. It doesn't really matter. The video is watermarked Dominion Drones. Dominion Drones is clearly the source of the leak. Dominion Drones is... I cannot imagine... It's so weird because, like, would DJI terminate their relationship with this store over this leak? I don't know. But seems like no. But at the same time, there has to be a consequence. Otherwise, the embargo doesn't mean anything. MK says Spider Monkey messaged me on Facebook when he reposted the video. He doesn't work for them, so he apparently reposted it. So if you want to, Lone Star UAV says Spider Monkey is the Zach guy in the video. I don't know if that's true. Let's see here. There is inaccurate information in that video, though. He says the V2 goggles are lighter than the V1 and have better foam. They are not. The V2 goggles are like, I guess I can't weigh them because they have different antennas. The V2 goggles are just identical to the V1 in form factor, and the foam is identical too. And he didn't know he didn't know so many. He didn't know that this is the. He didn't know that this is the power brick for the goggles. He thought it was just, oh, they gave us a USB power bank. How nice. He just didn't know what he was talking about. Mike Kinney, yes, a Radio Master TX16S and any OpenTX radio can be completely set up without a computer. Lone Star UAV, he said he would post FPV video when he gets to 1K subs. He's going to get, anybody who has the drone, no one who has the drone right now is not under embargo. Anybody who has the drone right now and is posting footage is going to get nuked by DJI for violating the NDA. I am annoyed. I'm annoyed. I've been sitting on this trying to make a really good review video that answers all the questions And of course, a big part of that is that then when the day it releases, you get a big pop of views because people are curious. So somebody breaking the embargo date is pretty freaking annoying. But, you know, I understand people are going to leak. The problem is that all the leaks... I've seen one video that somebody leaked that had flight footage from it. And the problem is that the people are so eager to leak it that they're like not actually doing a good review. So people are seeing leaked footage and they're drawing conclusions, and those conclusions may or may not be accurate. Because like it's just like one guy takes it up and he flies it a little bit and everybody goes, oh, and now I know everything I need to know. You don't. You just don't. What's the actual release date for the V2s? The V2 goggles, Rotor Riot said the official sale date for the V2 goggles is the 15th, tomorrow. By the way, happy Valentine's Day to everybody out there if you're celebrating. The official release date for the goggles, according to Rotor Riot, is tomorrow. It's unclear. The goggles, the sale date for the goggles, there's been a lot of like confusion. So I'm not surprised that some stores released it early, and it's unclear how that happened. But the official release date for the drone and the controller and the goggles as a kit, I couldn't say. Any additional information about the Happy Model 900 megahertz system? Asks Sir Clean FPV. No additional information. I saw Albert Kim has some photos of it. I think it's coming. By the way, if you have the goggles, if you have the DJI Goggles V2, that feature where you can do USB out to your phone, that is not unlocked. That feature will be part... my understanding is that will be part of the drone release. That the V2 goggles right now, you're basically running V1 firmware. They haven't opened up the V2 firmware yet, because once they do, there's all kinds of things in the V2 firmware that relate to the drone, and they don't want you to see that. So my expectation is that when the drone releases, whenever that might be, then there will be a day one firmware update, and that will unlock the additional features of the V2 goggles, like video out. That's speculation. DJI told me that would be available on release day. And so some people are like, well, why isn't it working? I thought this was release day. This is actually not release day. The V2 goggles are being leaked early officially. So... it's like 35 minutes into the stream and I haven't done any super chats yet. So let me get some super chats out of the way. Thank you guys for your patience. How do I get rid of this stupid notification? Go away. Unpin. No, I don't want you to unpin the message. I just want the notification to go away so I can see my freaking super chats. I got a super chat flip. Look what I'm dealing with. So, thanks for your help on Messenger. Whoever this is, I can't see because I can't get rid of this stupid pin message except by unpinning. Here, I'm going to do it. Unpin. Now, will you go away? Oh, no, it's still there. It's still freaking there. F you. Pin message. Thanks for your help on Messenger. Thank you so much for your donation, however much it might have been. Yeah. F you, YouTube, with your stupid interface. Argyle Sky FPV, thanks for a $5 donation in the super chat. By the way, you guys know what, I didn't mention this earlier. Do you know what a super chat is? You hit this $sign right down here, you throw a couple bucks at me, and then I read your question like a half hour later. What are you going to do? That's how I do it. Argyle Sky FPV, thank you for a $5 donation. I have a Foxy or Toothless 2 camera. I've been getting trails and ghosting in the video feed. What could cause this? Argyle Sky, the number one thing that causes that is if you're in low light, and if the camera is having to go to a really slow shutter speed. Is it happening in low light or also during bright day? That's the first thing I would ask. Rich Hampton, thank you for a $5 super chat. Will my FreeSky receivers work with the Radiomaster TX16S? Yes, they will. The only thing that will not work with a Radio Master is if you have an access receiver like the Archer, or if you have put access firmware on an RxSR or an XM Plus. The Radio Master can bind to a FreeSky receivers either using the FreeSky protocol, which is for firmware up through 1.9, or if you have a receiver with 2.0 or 2.1 firmware on it, use the FreeSky 2X protocol in the Radio Master. The XM Plus is currently shipping with 2.1 firmware on it. So if you've got an XM Plus and it won't bind, change to FreeSky 2X instead of FreeSky. Yoni Musher, thank you for a $5 super chat. I just got a Mobula 6 and I have a cat. Do I need to be worried about getting hair in the motors? I take it out of the props, but what about the motor? Yeah, that is a thing, Yoni. The brushed motors are more susceptible than the brushless motors. But yes, if you have pets, your motors will get full of hair and will burn out. That is definitely a thing that happens. How much are you going to worry about it? Only you have to decide. Lava Rush HD, thank you for 20 Danish kroner. Do you have a good recommendation for a flight controller in 2021? Wow, it's almost as if you're setting me up for this. If you are wondering about a good recommendation for a flight controller or really any other parts, check out my website, fpvknowitall.com, home of the ultimate FPV shopping list. And there's a section here for flight controllers, and you can go check out the flight controllers I recommend. These are not the only good parts out there. There are too many good parts out there, and that's the problem. So my goal with the website is to narrow it down to just a few that are safe bets, reliable bets. And if you're not sure, that's what you could do. All right, now we're caught up on super chats. Yay! Somebody said in the chat, and I didn't catch who it was. I'm just getting started. What's your opinion of the Tyro 79? The Tyro 79. Let's take a look at it here on Banggood. Tyro 79 is a little 3-inch quadcopter for $87. Here's my opinion of the whole Tyro line. Tyro 79, Tyro 119, I think Tyro 129. They are very inexpensive, and they cut a lot of corners to get the price down, but they're not total trash. That's a kind of a backhanded compliment. What I mean is, like, if you look at this, the Ishin Wizard X220, actually this is the X220S. The X220S is a little better. The original X220, just trash. If you got into the hobby flying the X220, cover your ears. So many people get into the hobby with the X220, but it is just objectively, like, the ESCs just die for no reason. The flight controller just dies for no reason. It's just, they've gone too far on the low price cutting corners scale. That's my opinion. The Tyro 79, though, the Tyro 79 and the Tyro 119, 129, they are just barely good enough to justify their extremely low price. And I would not steer you away from getting one, especially because, you know, you build it yourself, so you can get some experience doing a build. And there's some good tutorials out there for how to build them. Like, the motors, the bearings in the motors are really bad, but it will fly. It will fly okay, and in general, it will not just randomly die for no reason. I hesitantly don't not unrecommend it. That's what I would say. Lava Rush HT, thank you for 20 more Danish kroner. My first drone was the X220S. It's so bad. Yeah. The X220S is the original one, isn't it? I thought I was looking at the HV. No, the X220S is the original one, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, so many people bought it as their first drone, so I feel bad. Like, how could you disrespect it? But it's so bad. It just the parts on it just die for no reason. Like, literally, you just plug it in one day and an ESC pops or the flight controller doesn't power up. It's so bad. But, you know, gets people into the hobby, so what are you going to do? M787, thank you for 15 euros in the super chat. Thanks for your help on Messenger. I had the issue with the weight set to 1% instead of 100% for one of my switches. Oh, I remember that one. Yeah, he was flipping his aux switch and it wasn't moving. Quadzimoto, thank you for a $5 super chat. And Lava Rush HD again, 20 more Danish kroners. Thanks. I didn't even know you had that website. Oh, I thought you were giving me an excuse to plug my website. Koen van den Elsen has a very interesting question. Korn? I think. Koen? I have to know how to pronounce this name. How do you pronounce it, though? It's Dutch. It means brave. Koen? I don't know what that is. Oh, here we go.
Cohen.
No. I don't want to use it from New Jersey. Koen.
Keowen.
No, shut up. Koen. Huh. Koen. No, that's not right. Koen. Okay. All right. Koen. Moving on. You have an RXSR with a TX16S controller and a Mamba F4. Any 1.9 firmware works, but 2.0 and up have control but no telemetry. Okay, so that's pretty freaking weird, dude. You know the flight controller is configured correctly, right? Because it works on 1.9. So the issue has to be between the radio master and the receiver. I don't know. I'll have to sort of file this away. It's possible there's some kind of a bug in the 2.0 firmware or in OpenTX, but the issue is not in the flight controller. I would just flash the 1.9 firmware and cross my fingers. That's all I would say. But I appreciate you letting me know. Dion Potgieter says, thank you for 35, I believe that's South African Rand. Although the arms on the Tyro 99 look very thick, they seem to delaminate easily. That wouldn't surprise me if there was cheap carbon on a quad this cheap. Like I said, they cut a lot of corners. But they cut just the right corners that it's still worth thinking about buying. If you can spend more, you should. But if you can't spend more, that's a safe recommendation. The solution to your problem with F-port is to go to Crossfire. That's what the chat is saying. Robert Mann says you did a PID tune for the SL5E. Do you have one for the SL5, or will the SL5E PID tune be close? I couldn't say whether it was close. They have different motors. It's probably worth giving it at least a try because my PID tune is not that close to the edge. Betaflight shows the props run in reverse. That's not normal for the SL5. That is how my SL5Es came, but I don't think that should change the tune too much. Sky Rez wants to know, how do you calibrate the gyro or accelerometer on a drone that doesn't sit flat? It has underlying electronics that don't sit right. I mean, you could just hold it. You could just hold it in your hand. You could set it on something. The other thing you could do is you could trim the accelerometer in flight after doing a rough calibration by hand. Excuse me. Haven't I built and used the Tyro 119? Yeah, I did a build series for it. Lava Rush HT, thank you for 50 Danish kroner. Getting a lot of Danish kroner today. My X220S got shipped with a bad motor. Ouch. So I can't use it with my GoPro. It's too wobbly. And I just ordered a TX16S and Crossfire combo and got a T8SG. You ordered a TX16 and you got a T8SG? I mean, you take that up with customer service. That's not right. 007, thanks for a $3 super chat as well. Put the arms on coffee cups and let the bottom hang free. Good idea. That's a good idea. Set it on a beanbag. I mean, the thing is, the accelerometer calibration will always be rough anyway. You always want to trim it. If you care about the accelerometer being accurate, you always want to trim it in flight. Because at the end of the day, the accelerometer calibration it'll depend on the center of gravity of the quad where it needs to be trimmed. So, Fabulous09 wants to know, is there any way to use a transmitter on PS4 liftoff? Not yet, but they're working on it as fast as they can, and they hope that it will be available at some point in the future. Right now, the only way to use a transmitter on liftoff on consoles is it's this thing. This is the Titan adapter, and basically you plug your controller into it and you plug it into your game console and it translates. Liftoff has a guide for how to use this. This is not an officially endorsed solution. They do not provide support if you can't get it working, but they have tested it and found it to be acceptable. And they have a guide, PDF you can download that tells you how to work. But it's $100. It's $110. So, I mean, you really got to want it. If you have a PlayStation, they are working on getting controller support. So if you wait, you will get it. If you have an Xbox, they do not. They say it is not in the cards. So... JB's popping off. Am I? Oh, sorry about that. I was trying to make this a family-friendly stream. Pardon me. Dog Life UK says you can wire a PS4 controller to an Arduino. The problem is it's going to be latency. You need the latency to be as low as possible. And Arduino it might not. Sir Clean FPV wants me to do another spotlight with Rotor Riot. I hear you, Sir Clean FPV. I acknowledge your question. Let's see here. Where would they announce when they support it? Fabulous09. I mean, they have a website. I don't know where they're actually doing the announcements, but they have a Facebook page as well. Join the Liftoff Facebook group or Facebook page. I'm having an issue with Liftoff, asks Jacob Levin, where at high throttle my quad starts jittering like crazy. Could be a PID issue. I mean, it's not a mechanical issue because it's a simulator, so there's no mechanical. It has to be PIDs. Have you screwed with the PIDs? The default settings should not do that, right? Skyres says, how do you trim in flight? Using the trim buttons on the controller. No. Don't use the trim buttons on the controller. Skyres, so there's two ways to trim in flight. One of them is... Here, we'll use the Tango. You put the quad into angle mode. Oh, there you go. It's Blunty. Thank you, It's Blunty. I'm gonna say for the live stream anyway. You put the quad into angle mode. You take off, and you note what direction it's drifting. So let's say it's drifting to the back. You land the quad. With the quad still in angle mode and disarmed, you raise the throttle all the way up. This is why it's important that the quad be disarmed. With the throttle all the way up, you push the right stick the direction you want to trim. So if the quad's drifting back, you'll go beep, 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 and you'll put in like 4 or 5 clicks of front trim. And then you'll arm and you'll take off again. And you repeat that process trimming until you have it trimmed as good as you want. The other thing you can do is in the modes tab, there is an in-flight accelerometer trim mode. I confess I've never used it, but I believe the way it works is like you put it on your momentary switch. You hold the momentary switch to activate the in-flight accelerometer trim mode, and then using your sticks, you level the quad, and then you release the mode, and it takes that as its accelerometer trim. I confess I've never used that in real life, but I believe that's how it works. You should do some research. I always use the stick trim. I land because you don't have to set up an aux mode, and so I just take off, watch which way it drifts, land, disarm, throttle up, click, 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 take off, watch which way it drifts, and in about 5 minutes you can get it trimmed out. Why not just trim on the radio, asks Aber the Ham. Aber, if your sticks don't center correctly, then acro mode will not work right. So if you only ever fly in angle mode, then yes, stick trim could work. But in acro mode, you need the sticks to center at 0. And what happens is people use the trim switches to trim the accelerometer out. But then when they switch from angle to acro mode, now the quad is all over the place. So always calibrate using the flight controller, not the sticks. In theory, like if you only ever flew in angle mode, like for example, I was at a whoop race, a tiny whoop race once. And in between heats, I wanted the quad to trim a little more forward, so I wasn't having to ride the pitch stick quite as much, so that like as soon as I take off, the quad kind of wants to go forward, and I could focus a little more on my steering. And I just went and I went bup, 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 on the pitch stick trim, but I would never do that as a permanent solution. Yeah. I am drinking Dr. Pepper today. Everybody's always very curious what I'm drinking. I'm drinking Dr. Pepper because we bought a bunch of sodas for a... we had an event at my house. This is over a year ago. We had an event at my house, and I bought a bunch of sodas. I haven't had any events at my house because no reason. Please don't demonetize me, YouTube. And I bought a bunch of sodas, and you always like, well, how many sodas? I don't know. Give me 6 cases of Cokes. Give me 5 cases of Sprites, 5 Diet Cokes, and 4 cases of Dr. Pepper. And then like nobody drinks the Dr. Pepper, right? So I have like probably 2-3 cases of Dr. Pepper sitting in my basement. So today we're drinking Dr. Pepper. No White Claw today, Paul Fornage. The reason I'm not drinking I told you, I don't buy White Claw. I only drink White Claw when I'm at somebody else. Like if I go visit Drew in Orlando, he drinks White Claw. I'll drink his White Claw. I'm not too proud. Yeah, buddy, I'll share a White Claw with you. Let's do the Claw. I don't buy White Claw, though. I drink White Claw when someone leaves it at my house, and no one has left any at my house recently. Oh, Herkan Emre Yilmazer, I'm sure I have not said that right, is asking about the Ghost Hybrid. What is that? It's a 404-bit dropout. Oh well. Well, enter your password. Looks like it leaked. I guess we'll never know. Show me the cached page. Does the cache have it? Well, if it's not public, I know some things about it, but if it's not public, I don't want to spill the beans. Ghost Hybrid FPV RX and TX. I wonder what that could be. No comment. If anybody can point me to public information about it, then I will talk about it. But Tony Cake would be a lot more forgiving than DJI if I were to break his street date. Tony posted it on Facebook. Let's go look. Excuse me. Let's see. Oh, he did post it. Okay, fair game then. This is the ImmersionRC Ghost Hybrid. It is a combination Ghost receiver and tramp. Built in. The tramp is pre-wired to the Ghost receiver so that you can easily control the tramp using your Ghost system. And it is easy to connect to your flight controller. It's a 20mm sized board. I told Tony, Tony showed me this a couple weeks ago, and I said the 20mm size is great. Many people fly 20mm. I said you should also come up with a 25mm one for the people doing the toothpick AIOs. So hopefully he'll do that. Probably, maybe even just an adapter board, right? 5.8 gig 1 to 600 milliwatt video TX. Yeah, very exciting. It's going to be the right product for some people. Has the pricing been announced? I don't see pricing here. The pricing is cheaper than if you bought the two products independently. Oh, it does say $49.95 USD. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so I mean, if you think about it, a Ghost receiver is $25. A tramp is like $35 or something. And so it's like $5 cheaper than if you bought them separately. Which to me seems like it's, you know, seems like that's going to be right for some people. Personally, I prefer more than 600 milliwatts. I mean, the tramp is pretty honest about its output power. I prefer more than 600 milliwatts on my VTX. I'd rather have 800 or a watt or even more if I could get it. And I typically don't build 20 millimeter. I typically build 30 millimeter. I know I'm behind the times on that. So this wouldn't be the product for me. But yeah, no good for digital. Right, license to drive. This is obviously not for digital. You guys are going to be running the regular Ghost Atto. $600 milliwatts is fine, change agent. 600 milliwatts is plenty for racing, where they're always at 25. And to be fair, the tramp is very clean. It's a very high... Like, I would take a 600 milliwatt tramp over an 800 milliwatt AKK. I just think the tramp is going to do better in real life, even though that one number is like lower on paper. But I'd rather have a good high quality, high output video transmitter like, for example, the Rush Ultimate, or of course a TBS Unify. Somewhere I've broken Tony Cake's heart by saying that. No, he's a big boy. Like a Unify at 1 watt is going to do better than even a very, very good video transmitter at 600 milliwatts. It's going to be bigger, it's going to be heavier, but those are trade-offs I'm willing to make. Yeah, the Tramp Nano is extremely good power to size, and it's at a good price. But for all that I complain about weight, you know, my quad lately, I feel like the video transmitter is not a place where I want to cut corners. LTZ DR3Z1L asks, what's the correct baud rate on a QX7 when running the TBS Micro TX? If you've done the inverter mod, you can run 400K baud. If you have not done the inverter mod, I think you have to go down to 115. Might be 250. I'm not sure about that. Is the result of incorrect baud rate the reason it drains the QX7 LiPo? No, it just is drawing a lot more power because it's outputting a lot more power. Cohen Vanden Elsen wants to know, will the access protocol come to the multi-protocol module? I don't know about that. It would require them to reverse engineer the encryption. FreeSky would be very annoyed if they did that. They did reverse engineer the V2 FreeSky protocol, which originally it was not supported. It's hard for me to believe that because the processor on the receiver is not very powerful. So whatever kind of encryption obfuscation they're doing, it can't be that complicated because they need to keep latency to a minimum. So it really seems like if someone wanted to reverse engineer the access protocol, they could, but they haven't. And maybe there's a political reason or something like that why they haven't. So it just depends on, you'd have to go ask the guys over at the Pascal Langer multi-protocol project whether they plan to do that or why they haven't. I would not say it'll never happen. The fact that it hasn't happened yet makes me wonder if maybe it's harder than we think, or whether there's a political reason or a business reason or a legal reason why they haven't done it. Pablo Roberto points out that the Rush Tank Solo goes up to 2 watts. Gal Kremer's video, he measures the power output. Be careful. I'm going to guess that Gal Kremer used the ImmersionRC RF power meter. That thing is acceptable for rough measurements, but not precise enough in a lab environment to say definitively it goes up to 2 watts. The Rush Tank Solo does go up to, they advertise it as 1+ watt though, and that's probably right. Bubby just hit 3,000 followers. Very nice, Bubby. That Bubby guy. Listen, Bubby, you're a great pilot. I see you over there, Bubby. You're a good pilot. You're a great pilot. That video you just posted where you're diving into the freaking parking deck. Listen, though. I've seen you hanging out over there on the wrong side of the tracks. You're hanging out with some unsavory people, and you decide for yourself. But I think you might be using, and I'm worried about you. You know what I'm talking about? You're using Hypersmooth. You've been hanging around with Ladrib, and he's tempting you. You start out, and you're like, I'm just going to use Hypersmooth for this one video. It's cinematic. Before you know it, you're into some truck stop bathroom trying to get Hypersmooth for your next hit. It's dangerous, man. You gotta be able to walk away from the Hypersmooth every now and then and really let people see what you're doing. You don't need that crutch, man. You're a good pilot. Hypersmooth has a time and a place. But it's not every time and every place. Sometimes you just got to let people see you fly. This episode of JB's one-man show has been brought to you by GoPro Hypersmooth. It's funny because here's why I said that. I saw one of Bubby's flight videos, and I know Bubby's been hanging around with Drew and hanging around with Rotor Riot, and I was like, it was obvious he's using Hypersmooth, and I was like, he kind of looks like Drew. And if I put Hypersmooth on my quad, I won't look like Drew. So like, mad respect, not to take anything away from Bubby as a pilot. I couldn't. But I did look at his video and go, oh, that looks a lot like Drew's flying. Got some of that Hypersmooth taking the edges off. That's why I don't use Hypersmooth, so that when my flying is bad and has no flow, I can be like, yeah, but it's real. You know? Like a 3-chord punk musician claiming that makes him more legit than someone with actual musical talent. You gotta get what you can. I don't think Bubby's even in the chat. Someone will clip this and forward it to him. OCDFPV says, my Horus X10 seems to be having a problem working as a controller when I try to use it in my Sims. Anyone have answers as to why this is happening? I don't know about that, man. OCD, do you have the problem where Windows drivers got effed up and then they don't recognize the controller? That could be it. You may need to fix... It's the... Search for better_USB Tyrannus. Let me put this in the chat for him. Who's not hypersmoothing is flying? Somatic FPV. Who's not hypersmoothing is flying? I guarantee you that one video I saw of Bubby was hypersmoothing. I just guarantee you. There's just a look to it. Why wouldn't you use Hypersmooth when it just makes the video prettier? Asks Janos Haas. That's a good question. Now let's dig into this, because no one's ever really talked about whether the ethics of using Hypersmooth. I'll try to keep it short. I know I've been through this before. Hypersmooth is just a tool in the toolbox to make a result. There's nothing wrong with using a tool in the toolbox. If you're a singer and you're trying to make a pop song, there's nothing wrong with using autotune to fix a little bit of pitchiness. That is just a tool in the toolbox. That being said, when it reaches a point where it is distracting to the audience, then it becomes a problem, right? So it's obvious that like Drew is a great pilot. There's no one could take that away from him. And he also often uses Hypersmooth on his freestyle vids because he likes the way it looks. Sometimes I look at people's freestyle vids and I go, oh, it's got that Hypersmooth look. And maybe I'm just like tired of seeing that particular look. It'd be like if everybody used the same LUT. If everybody used the same LUT on their videos, eventually you'd get tired of seeing that LUT. There's nothing wrong with LUTs. Just get tired of seeing it. And if everybody's using Hypersmooth, then eventually I get tired of that Hypersmooth look. And I start thinking to myself, can I please just frickin' see you fly? And, you know, that's just me. I mean, it does show your skill. You can't... Hypersmooth will not make a crappy pilot look like a good pilot. You will still look like a crappy pilot. Your lines will still look like crap. You will still have mistakes, and you won't pull the tricks. It just gives a certain look. That's what I'm saying, Dog Life UK. Ladrib is the T-Pain of FPV. That's exactly right. Ladrib is the T-Pain of FPV. The thing about, what do I mean by that look? Hypersmooth rounds the edges off your moves. That's what it's doing. So I noticed this when I started playing with Insta360, because in Insta360 the stabilization is done in post, so you can easily play in the editor, in the Insta360 editor, you can play a clip and then you can just click a button and watch that clip with stabilization on. And like I notice, like when I do like a snap roll, instead of being whoop, snappy with stabilization on, it kind of goes whoop, and is smoother. And I was like, oh. So you get all these really nice smooth moves, but you lose the snap. And I want some of that snap sometimes. Anyway, that's all about that. FPV Wannabe, thank you for £2 in the super chat. I need a recommendation for a damn good FPV website. Y'all got to stop. I can't keep promoting my website, but it's a super chat, so I have to. The FPVknowitall.com is the website, ultimate FPV shopping list for all your product suggestions. And I haven't mentioned this live stream yet. I also have an editorial calendar up there where you can see what's coming up on my channel. Although it does change on the daily, it is what I'm currently thinking I'm going to be doing eventually. Hectactica, thank you for a $10 super chat. Very generous super chat. How do we improve the public perception of drone pilots? I ask because I've heard stories of friends of pervs using drones to creep on people, which could lead to aggressive legislation if unchecked. Hectactica, I am not sure how much we should care as individuals about improving the public perception of drone pilots. And here's what I mean by that. What you should do if you want to improve the perception of drone pilots is you personally should be a positive influence to the people that you interact with. So, when you fly your drone, do it in a safe and respectful way. Have a monitor with you so people, and be eager to give ride-alongs. That I think is a very positive thing we can do if you have the money for it. If you have a spare set of goggles or a monitor, I always try and have a spare set of goggles or a monitor with me when I'm out flying. And if somebody walks up while someone else is flying, I'm almost a little too eager to like, hey, do you want to check it out? Because I think that really helps people understand what's going on and enjoy it. You can just personally touch the people in your life and be a positive influence and give them a positive impression. But you can't cancel out the negative perceptions of everyone in the world. You won't do it. It's not possible. So don't stress about that. And as far as legislation goes, the legislation has nothing to do with like one guy using a drone for something unsavory. It is driven by concerns from Department of Homeland Security and from commercial entities. And even if every single hobbyist was 100% legit and by the book with their drones, the legislation that is coming would still be coming, because what they are really concerned about is not some dude with a Mavic. And they're a little concerned about some dude with a Mavic crashing it into a helicopter. They are actually concerned about that. But they're more concerned about some dude making a weapon out of a drone and using it to deliver a payload, which is a thing that is already happening in other places in the world, way more than it's happening here. And they are scared. They're scared. And they want to try and head that off and make that as difficult as possible. And that's why there is nothing you can do to be a good enough actor to convince them that they don't need to regulate drones. It's just what drones are and what they can do has potential to be bad in ways that hobbyists don't think of, because we're good people. We don't think of the potential negative, we don't think of those uses because that's just not where our head's at. But some people's heads are there. And then money. The Jeff Bezos of the world, the Googles of the world, they want to make money off it. So don't stress about that. You be cool. You be positive. You be a good ambassador to the people you touch on a daily basis. That didn't come out right. and then just do your best the rest of the way. If you want to get involved politically, support organizations like the FPV Freedom Coalition, get involved with the Drone Advisory Committee, the DAC, and try and influence the legislation. Write letters to your representatives, find out who the committee chairs are, and so forth. But yeah. But we don't require permits for pressure cookers. I gotta say, you're not gonna want to hear this. You're not gonna want to hear this, but I don't think they're completely out of whack. Anyway, I don't want to dive too deep into that. the potential to weaponize drones is if you really thought about it, is really actually concerning. Pressure cookers can be turned into weapons too. It requires a certain skill set though that most people don't have. And I mean, yeah, I don't know how to make that analogy for you. But anyway, I'm not here to make that analogy for you. I'm just here to tell you the way they see it. And the way they see it is that this is a threat. Yeah. The a-hole delivering a payload won't care about regulations, as says Bernard Eisenschink. Nevertheless, regulations matter. Regulations have an effect. I'm going to get this stream is going to get demonetized so hard. I'm going to be careful what I talk about because I'm just not interested in going down a really negative and kind of depressing path. But like, you have to register a car when you get a car, right? The car has to be registered. It has to have a license plate. You have to have a driver's license. People use vehicles as weapons sometimes. The fact that you have to register a car doesn't stop people from using them as weapons, but it does have an effect on the ability to figure out who committed the crime later. So the registration of vehicles does have an effect on the ability to use them in dangerous ways. So it's not an argument against registration to say, well, bad guys will just do bad things anyway. That's not an argument that registration... And I'm not arguing for registration, but if you're going to argue against it, you need to have solid arguments. And the argument that registration is pointless because bad people will do bad things anyway is just not true. Registration makes it easier to find people after they do bad things and stop them from doing it the second time, which is still valid. All right. Let's move on. This'll I'm not arguing for registration, Big Data Pimp. Guess I'm not moving on. I'm not arguing for it. I am telling you the argument. Think about when you go. I wasn't in debate class. How do you? But think about it. How do you prepare to win an argument? How do you prepare to win a battle? You start by understanding your opponent's position. You understand where they are going to come from and how they are going to attack you. And then you figure out how you are going to defeat that. If you do not understand why these regulations are happening, you will not be able to fight them. The things that you say to oppose them will be ineffective because you will not actually be addressing the motivation at hand. So I'm not arguing for it. I'm telling you what the argument is. And if you want to use that to fight, then go for it. Don't tell me I'm arguing for registration. I have been a voice fighting this thing from the beginning. That's right. Playing the opposite side does not mean I stand for the opposite side. So many times debate about controversial topics basically boils down to everything about the other side is BS. And it's not. The other side has arguments that have merit. You may not agree with those arguments. You may not have the same priorities that drive those arguments. Or you may feel that some of those arguments lack merit. But you need to sit down and understand what those are before you can fight. All right. Now I really am moving on. Mystery Smith says, do you have a video on ensuring that we are complying with the latest FAA requirements? I don't, Mystery Smith. The new requirements related to remote ID will not go into effect for like 3 more years, so don't worry about it yet. Look for the FPV Freedom Coalition. The FPVFC is one of the best sources for information, though, right now. Robert Rempel says, back to FPV, please. I mean, this is FPV, to be fair. Andy Cooper, thank you for a $5 super chat. I'm still not getting the 1200 milliwatt hack working on the V2 goggles. Did anybody check back with Tommy or the other guys who were trying to get it figured out? Andy Cooper, I tested my V2 goggles, I can tell you, with the 0604 firmware on my V2 goggles, which is the latest version of the firmware that the DJI Assistant app shows. With the 0604 firmware, the 1200 milliwatt hack did work. And I even reset my goggles and reapplied the hack just to be sure that it would still work. So I can tell you for me that the 0604 firmware, it works. Now, I don't think anybody else out there has newer firmware than 0604. If you got your V2 goggles, can you go into the About screen and can you tell me what firmware version is on them? Andy Cooper, you got another 40 minutes in this live stream. Andy Cooper, go check your goggles and tell me what firmware version is on them, please. Dmitry Kalnin, thank you for 400 rubles. Does flying with LED props affect the image of the FPV camera? Do you see a halo on the lens or something? What about a GoPro? Yeah, Dimitri, anytime I can't say for sure because, of course, it's going to depend on your frame geometry. If the props are out of view, then it's going to be different than if they're in view. It is going to affect the camera's exposure for sure. It's going to cause the camera to darken its exposure if it can see those props. So there is definitely some effect there. But people have flown the LED props at night, and, you know, it's doable, but it will have an effect. Robert Rempel, I know what you mean. I'm just being contrary. I'm just arguing. Yes, Change Agent. The latest firmware that I think is publicly available is 10006 0604. Yeah, Andy Cooper, I think you're, like, the file must not be right, dude. It definitely works for me on 0604. I even reset the goggles, confirmed that resetting the goggles wiped out the hack, and then reapplied the hack, and it worked. So it should work. Mike Pitts, thanks for a $5 super chat. Meatbag, thanks for a $2 super chat. That's right, Ghost Branch FPV. If you fly at night and there is a bright light in the camera view, the auto exposure is going to make the rest of the image pitch black. That's 100% right. So if you're going to fly these LED props, you're going to want to do it with like a dead cat style frame where the props are not in view. Otherwise, it's going to really mess with your exposure. You could set manual exposure, I guess. I am working on... So I am trying to get a definitive answer of whether the 1200 milliwatt hack will continue to work going forward. I have the DJI Goggles V2. I flashed the DJI Goggles V2 to firmware 0604, and I confirmed that the hack worked. And then I could not flash them forward to the new unreleased firmwares that you guys don't have because 0604 is not capable of connecting. It's not capable of doing the thing it needs to do in order to flash these new unreleased firmwares. So I kind of locked myself out of my V2 goggles. And DJI is having to send me another set of goggles with the unreleased firmware on it because it's a bootstrap problem. If you don't have the unreleased firmware, you can't flash the unreleased firmware. So by flashing my V2 goggles back to 0604, so I can't tell you for sure whether the 1200 milliwatt hack works on the newer unreleased firmware. But I am working on trying to find out about that. Andy Cooper says, I have an air unit that's set up with V1 doing 1200 milliwatts. But when I pair it to my V2, there is no 1000 milliwatts. Andy Cooper, the hack is on the goggles, not the air unit. The goggle is the thing that needs to have the hack applied. So when you pair your new goggles, they have not been unlocked yet. You need to do the hack on the goggles, not the air unit. Maxwell Prime says, any word on if DJI is going to keep the V1 and the V2 goggles in firmware sync? I don't know about that. I can tell you I flashed the 0604 firmware to the V2 goggles using the DJI Assistant app, and it worked just fine. So that suggests that the V2 and the V1 will be using the same firmware. No, Skadoosh, Skadoosh Zero Foe. The hack is applied to the goggles. As soon as you hack the goggles, every air unit and Vista that you use from now on with those goggles will support 1200 milliwatts. The hack is not applied to the air unit or the Vista. The goggle is what applies the hack. Sam Burns says new firmware is only for the V2s. Sam Burns, we can't judge that until after the official release. During the pre-release period, it doesn't surprise me that only the V2s are getting firmware updates. It's hard to believe that DJI would just completely abandon the V1. I mean, they haven't done that in the past with their other products, but we'll have to see. Josias Cloete, I don't think that's true, man. I don't think you need to unlock the air unit. As soon as I unlock the goggles, I've never had to unlock a Vista with the NACO_power hack. I just unlocked my goggles, and from then on, every single Vista and air unit I ever used supported 1200 milliwatts. If you're in the EU, if you're not in the FCC region, then yes, that's correct. You have to hack the air unit to be FCC, and then the 1200 milliwatt hack works. That must be what you're talking about. It's the FCC hack that you have to do on the air unit. That is correct. That is correct. New goggles V2 have 0604 on them. Yeah, okay. So they're shipping the V2 goggles with the last public firmware for the V1. Thanks, guys, for letting me know. So as soon as I get a new set, I actually asked Drew to check this for me, because he has a set of the unreleased goggles too. Did you? I'm not going to tell you the answer though. I don't want to. Now that I told you I asked Drew, I'm going to save the answer for later because I don't want to get him in trouble or get any attention played. I shouldn't have said that. Well, Marshall V, you don't have to do the FCC hack if you live in the USA. That's why I've never had to do it. 0604 does mean the 1200 milliwatt hack works, Ken Mac. That is correct. Drone Noob, thank you for a $5 super chat. Do you think the DJI goggles will ever be used with liftoff or any sim? No, because they don't have an HDMI input. They don't have, so I don't see how they would do that. Jackalope FPV, thanks for a $5 super chat. My wife says if I build another quad, she'll divorce me, so I have to ask, what ESC should I use for my upcoming 7-inch build? Nice. Maybe you have to reapply the FCC hack, Andy Cooper. That might be. Andy, if you live outside the USA and you can't get the 1200 milliwatt hack working, try reapplying the FCC hack on your air unit. That's a very good point. Bubby, I know you don't need to. Bubby FPV says, I made a video to prove I don't need it. He should watch that. Bubby, I know you don't need it. That's my point, bruh. I know you don't need it. Bubby's here. Someone clipped it and sent it to him. I know you don't need it. Dwight T says, I'm just getting an FPV. Should I go Crossfire or Tracer? That's a big question, isn't it? One argument is that the lower latency of Tracer is kind of pointless to a beginner. You're not going to notice anyway. So go Crossfire and get good range. It's a compelling argument. Nick Sebring says, I saw a review of the Rush Tank Solo. It looks appealing, but I can swear its max output is over the legal limit. Is that true? Very good question. I asked Rush. I asked them the same question when they told me about it. This is the Rush Tank Solo. It's $45. Hang on. Let me get this all settled up there. $45 and specifications. Oh, crap. Specifications. It's listed as 1,000 milliwatts. It outputs more than 1,000 milliwatts. So there's various ways to think about this. One way to think about it is if it was not used in an aircraft, then it would be legal to output more than 1,000 milliwatts. It's only because it's in an aircraft that it would be limited to 1,000 milliwatts. Well, I don't know. I mean, how could you be sure this is not going in a ground vehicle? Also, I mean, it only says 1,000 milliwatts here, so, you know, I don't know. Maybe it's outputting more. I don't know. That's the legal limit, though. It seems like they're screwing around a little bit. But if there's anything I've learned from watching TBS, it's that customers don't give a shit if you are in legal compliance. They just want you to give them the goods. There are various things that TBS devices do that technically are not legal, and no one seems to care, and they're happy that they have great performance. And as long as they don't get caught, hey. My Tracer review has not come out yet. Sorry. You'll get it. You'll get it. The thing is that the question, Tracer versus Crossfire versus Ghost, is very difficult to answer, and I am not going to put out the video until I feel like I can answer it. And so, I'm sorry. It's just going to be when it is. How does the range of Crossfire, Ghost, and Tracer compare? I can answer that question, Valentine Compatcher. Crossfire in 50 hertz mode at 1 watt or higher will have basically the best range of any of them. Ghost at 350 milliwatts in normal mode, which I think is 50 hertz, maybe 60 hertz, will have very good range, but not quite as much as Crossfire. If you put Crossfire and Ghost in their high performance, low latency mode, for Crossfire that's 160 hertz, Crossfire's range drops significantly, and Crossfire will go up to 1 watt or maybe 2 watts if you have the full module. Ghost only goes up to 350 milliwatts. So Crossfire's range is less, but it can make some of that up with output power. I don't know how exactly they slice out. So at high performance mode, Ghost and Crossfire may be close to parity, or Crossfire may be a little bit less. I'm not sure. Tracer can now go up to, like, they call it ludicrous power mode. And the exact range comparison there also is a little unclear, because it's more output power than Ghost, but a worse encoding or modulation. The takeaway, though, is for a typical pilot, Crossfire, Ghost, and Tracer are all going to have more range than you typically are going to need. Most pilots, their video link won't go past, let's say, 4 kilometers. If you are a long-range pilot who wants to go out to 30, 50, 80 kilometers, then you need to think hard about whether Ghost, Tracer, well, Tracer's probably not for you if you need to go 80 kilometers, but you need to think hard. But for a typical pilot, don't even think much about range, because any of them will probably have more range than you need. That wasn't true when Tracer only did 100 milliwatts. Now that Tracer does ludicrous power, I think it is true. Is the Star's Star-Lord build kit any good? Asks Shift FPV. That's on Get FPV, isn't it? They did that as like a quad box. Or yeah, not a quad box. An FPV crate. Oh, that's the wrong window. Sorry, guys. Yeah, the Star's Star-Lord. Is it any good? I don't know. I don't know it personally to vouch for it. It's $150, and it's sold by FPV Crate and Get FPV. I think probably Get FPV stands behind the stuff that they sell. If it was junk, they would probably be getting so many replacements that they would just pull it. So I can't personally vouch for it. I haven't tested it. But the fact that it's being sold by Get FPV and FPV Crate means it's probably worth a punt. A price of $160 for a complete drone build kit. Maybe it doesn't have a receiver. That's a nice place to be. Like the Tyro 119 kit comes in around 100. I think it's $120, and feels like they're just barely about to cut too many corners. This one at $160, if we assume that reflects the quality, I would feel a lot more comfortable with a $160 kit than like a $120 or $100 kit. So I can't vouch for it, but if you decided to take a punt on it, it probably would not be a mistake. And like, if the ESC blows up on you on day one, you just go to Get FPV support and be like, hey man, this ESC blew up. And they'd probably take care of you, because that's how they roll. That's what I would say. Is the Tracer ludicrous mode 1,000 milliwatts? My TX16S shows 1,000 as T-power in telemetry. Lars FPV, they have avoided giving a fixed number. I've heard some people say 650 milliwatts. I've heard some people say 1.3 watts. They're trying not to get pinned down because they don't want people with the ImmersionRC power meter calling them out. So they just say, you know, oh, ludicrous. It's somewhere, I don't know. Lee Kitching says, I think deep down, Tracer beats Ghost. Well, let's talk about that. The thing about Ghost is that Ghost can do everything Tracer does, including FLRC 250 milliwatts mode modulation. The only thing Ghost doesn't do that Tracer does is Ghost maxes at 350 milliwatts, whereas Tracer goes up to 1 watt. Oh, so does that mean Tracer wins? Not if you care about long range, because Ghost can also go down to 50 hertz and then go out, whatever, freaking 60 kilometers, and Tracer can't do that. Well, that's a minority. Look at the reviews. They're saying, look at the reviews of the Skystars. Oh, yeah? Are the reviews crappy? Where are the reviews? Reviews. Oh, well, I mean, they're good reviews. What the heck? This review is just a joke. This is just what is this review? This is a verified reviewer. I love the portable fog machine in my room. I think it should come with a fire extinguisher. I am standing outside watching my house in flames. So he's leaving this review while his house is in flames. So this is not ringing true. When I plugged it in, it went boom, boom. But it's my fault because I plugged in an 11S battery. This is just a joke. I have no idea what this is. It's just trolling. The Ninja Star shape of the flight controller really helps the LED glue itself together. It's unlike any other flight controller I've ever seen. This is also the only flight controller I've ever seen. It's great for beginners, but watch out. If you see yourself in the camera, you need to fly away, not towards. I hope my brother is okay. In conclusion, I feel the build quality is amazing, and this is such a great deal. Okay, well, these are clearly just jokes. Oh, Scott Nunley, very good question, my friend. Would it be better to create a model on my transmitter for each quad or one for each type of receiver? Oh, that's such a good question. I'm going to make that. I'm going to actually do a little 60-second, not this minute, but I'm going to do a little 60-second thing on my TikTok. Did you guys know? Okay, I'm so embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed. I have a TikTok now. Oh, stop. Don't. Oh, please don't. Oh, there goes the copyright strike. There goes the copyright strike. Yeah, I have a TikTok now. My wife started watching TikTok, getting into TikTok, and then my kid like loves TikTok. Loves TikTok. He just wants to watch TikToks before bed. So then I got it because I was like, okay, well, I'll sit down with my kid. But actually, it's a great excuse to do frame from God and Cricket FPV. And if you have this frame, it's a great excuse to force me to not talk for 27 minutes about everything, because the maximum length of a TikTok is 1 minute. So I've started making these little 1 minute shorts and putting them on. I'm also putting them on my YouTube. So if you hate TikTok, you're still seeing them on my YouTube. But it's a great way to kind of shut me up and make me be short, and I really appreciate that. So I think I'm gonna make one of those about this question. You can subscribe to my TikTok if you want to. FPV Joshua Bardwell. You can also just stay on YouTube. All this stuff is on YouTube.
Show me someone that lives.
Well, that's not on YouTube. That's I don't think that's a public. That's a private one. Well, you get to see my kid.
In your house rent free? Show me someone.
Oh, it's the cutest baby in the world. You shut up. So the question. The question is, Scott Nunley, would it be better to create a model on my transmitter for each quad or one for each type of receiver, assuming all the settings are the same on the receiver's side? I create one model for each type of receiver. And I make sure all my quads are set up the same with their aux modes, for example. You do need to set up one model for each type of receiver, because depending on the receiver, obviously your model setup will have the receiver type built into it. The endpoints may be slightly different, and the telemetry is going to be different. If you have two of the same receiver, like an RXSR, but one of them is doing F port and one's doing S-Bus, you also need a different model for that. But yeah, I would do one model for each receiver, because I don't know about you, but I go through quads pretty quickly. So if I had to make a new model for every single one of my quads, I would have way too many models. TikTok is for people with short attention spans. It's actually a little bit the other way. First you get onto TikTok and then you develop a short attention span, because, yeah. Pile of Carbon says, what's going on here? First mukbang, now TikTok. Yeah.
One that lives in your.
Shush. Desktop mute. I hope I stopped that song before I got copy struck. TikTok causes ADD. I don't know what you're talking about. I have an attention span. Seriously though, if you're over like 35, don't get TikTok. You were not raised on ADD entertainment. Your brain cannot handle it. Yeah, hopefully it could be a claim. It could be a claim. How much should one sell his V1 DJI goggles for? What do you think is fair? I don't think DJI V1s should be getting that much of a discount. The V2 is not that much different if you fly FPV. So I feel like V1s, like if you have V1s right now, you could practically, you could practically charge retail. I mean, just because the V2, still people aren't getting the V2s. But you get a little bit of a discount, but yeah. Have I tried the new DJI FPV goggles V2? Listen, the V2 goggles are the same as the V1, except if you have the new drone that isn't out yet. then they do stuff with the new drone that the V1 don't. FPV pilots, they're the same. No, my wife is not younger than 35, Richard Warwick. I'm just saying it was a bad idea for us to get TikTok. It's over now. We're sucked in. I am waiting to see if V1 gets the USB-C video out. Good question. I want to, we're coming up on the end of the stream. It's 2:47. I want to plug a couple things. The first thing I want to plug is shortly after the stream, typically by about 3:15, shortly after the stream, I'm going to be playing Among Us with my patrons over on the Discord server. And if you would like to watch, Ghost Branch FPV is going to be streaming it. So if you want to watch us play Among Us, be my guest. That's a link right there. In addition, Aaron Ciotti is going to be streaming at 3. So, and he is actually in the chat. Go ahead and post your link, Ciotti. Ooh, somebody's trying to tell me what I should do in my stream. What is it? Boomer moment. What do we got? Yo, STFU about TikTok causing ADHD. Any stacks? Well, okay, you got me. Skadoosh points out that TikTok is owned by the Chinese company ByteDance and has been criticized by U.S. senators for censorship, privacy, and child safety. Oh no, U.S. senators criticizing a China-owned company. That must absolutely be accurate and not motivated at all by any political or economic considerations. Yeah, gotta watch out for that criticism. I don't know. I mean, I'm the first. Yeah, no, TikTok is trash. I should never have downloaded it. Now, of course, I love it. That's the problem. But also, yeah, U.S. senators are criticizing TikTok. You naughty, naughty company. We only want U.S. companies stealing your private data and knowing everything about you. Like, don't act like there's a moral high ground there. Oh, there absolutely is a moral high ground. The U.S. government is doing way, well, you might be right. You might be right. I mean, who knows? I'm just saying. Just saying. It's a pot in the kettle. It's a pot in the kettle. It's just I don't know. I did, MK. I showed my my username. If you wanna see all the garbage I post over on TikTok. And I'm so annoyed. Someone out there has Joshua Bardwell. For all I know, it is me, and I just forgot the password. But I had to make my account something different. And you can see all my FPV related content. Yeah. Joel Morris, you absolute piece of shit. Please, please, please fix your god-awful hairline. It is revolting. What a trash person you are. What an absolute piece of trash person you are, Joel Morris. Please, please, re-examine your whole fucking life, dude. Wow. Just stop interacting with humans at all. Be alone with yourself and figure out what is wrong with you. Learn to love yourself and all those things that you hate about yourself that make you criticize and lash out at other people. Accept them, take some LSD, take some mushrooms, whatever you need to do. But love yourself, come out a better person, and then interact with humans again. But wow, What a terrible, terrible thing to say and a terrible person to be. Get the hell out of my chat. Woo! Fix your hairline, it's revolting. What a ridiculous thing to say. What a ridiculous thing to say. I don't know. If that's a joke, it's not a funny joke. Oh, anyway. That's not a funny joke if it's a joke. Well, anyway, that's what you get when you start watching TikToks. See? I would never have said that before I was watching TikToks. Fix your hairline. It's not even something you can fix. Like, call me fat. Be like, hey, lose some weight, chubby. Like, at least that's something theoretically I have control over. But going bald, it's just genetic. It's just genetic. There's nothing you can do about it. Did you mean my neck beard? Maybe you meant my hairline down here. Oh. Jesus Christ. He's right. He's right. I have to fix it. Joe. Okay. I'm gonna fix it, Joel. I'm gonna fix it. Where should I start? Right? No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. Oh, if it was a joke, it's a trash joke by a trash person. To say someone else's body is revolting in public, like in a live stream, that's just a trash thing to do. I'm sorry. Even if it was meant as a joke, it's a shitty joke and it deserves to be slapped. Hopefully. Mr. Z, thanks for a $5 super chat. Jackalope, thanks for a $5 super chat. Yoni Musher, thanks for a $5 super chat. I wanted to let you know I dropped my Mobula 6 in a pot of oil and it still works. Yeah, oil is actually fine. Water's a problem, but oil is fine. Pit7609, thanks for a $5 super chat. I can't stop seeing two screens on slimline goggles. Fat Shark diopters are no help. Would custom diopters work, or am I stuck with box goggles? Custom diopters would help if you need a prescription, perhaps, but it sounds like your eyes may be like too far apart, or you may not be able to focus correctly. Slimline goggles may not work for you. There are people out there for whom slimline goggles just don't work. The Dark Knight, thank you for $9.99 super chat. Which similar frame to the Beta 95 can carry a full air unit? I don't know about that, dude. I don't think a 95 can carry a full air unit. Does anybody know if there is a 95 millimeter style frame that can carry a full air unit? Speak up in the chat. Joel B4 Eiley, thank you for £5. If you're in Europe, just use a VPN to register to your DJI as if you're in the US. No hack required. I mean, the hack isn't that hard to do, but yeah. Do you think... oh, now we're caught up on Super Chats. Great. Hey, Mad Props and It's Blunty are discussing in the chat, in the Discord, whether you could tell a difference between 2208 and 2306. It's easy, guys. It's easy to, I mean, it's not that easy, but you can just do a blind test and see. But I mean, you have a hypothesis, and the answer to the hypothesis is not arguing, but science. I mean, maybe it's not possible to do that with the resources at hand, but yeah. What happened to the last 15 minutes of the stream? It went totally, we started talking about TikTok, Star Jumper, and it went totally off the rails. Siati thinks there's a huge difference. Well, Siati, sounds like a good opportunity to do a test. The most basic test you can do is an ABXY test, where you don't try to identify this is a 2208, that's a 2306. You simply fly two things back to back, and you see if you can accurately tell whether they are the same thing. That's the most basic kind of test you can do to determine this kind of thing. So basically, I give you a quad. I don't tell you what motor's on it. You fly it. I give you another quad. I don't tell you what motor's on it. You fly it. And then you say, those were the same motor or they were not the same motor. And if you can do that, then you could move on to maybe being able to tell which is a 2208, which is a 2306. The other thing that would make that really the best would be if it was double blinded. If neither person knew which motor was on it, that would be a little tricky, though. It's tricky because you could argue that different motors need to be tuned differently. So if both quads had the exact same PID tune on them, then maybe you would tell the difference because they weren't optimally tuned. But then if you were to PID tune them the same, or PID tune them differently, then the difference could be attributed to the PID tune. So it's actually very difficult to really do this test correctly. It's pretty difficult. Right. I don't know. That's very tough. That's very tough. All right, guys, we got 2 minutes to the end of the stream. Siati is going to be streaming on his channel at 3 p.m. So, Siati, go ahead and post that link. And in addition, we got Ghost Branch is going to be streaming our Among Us game, if you want to check that out. In about 15 minutes, whenever I go up and, take a quick break and come back down. Yeah, it would be cool to have 3 or 4 different quads exactly the same with different motors on them. But the big question it would be, would you also need to PID tune them so they responded the same? And if you PID tune them so they responded the same, then would they feel the same? And then would you be able to tell the difference? See? So what's the right way to approach that? Do you have them all on default PIDs and you see which motor performs better? Or do you try to PID tune them? I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about it. We'll think about it. We will think about it, but for now, I am out of here. Thank you so much for coming out to the stream. It's time for Siati to get going. Yeah, Star Jumper, I kind of agree. It sounds like an impossible test. It's Blunty is sure you can't tell, but we'll have to talk about it another time because we are done for now. Thank you guys so much for coming out. It's been a real fun stream. Bubby, thanks for being here. And everybody else, I will see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Eastern Time is my Monday evening stream. I'll see you there, and happy flying, everybody.